Hey guys, coming into me another movie, guys. Continuing my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and this movie I'm going to be reviewing. I wasn't originally planning on reviewing this one, but because I have to have 31 films, I figured I might as well because I haven't seen it, and I heard it's a really great movie to watch for Halloween. I figured why not? I watch movies like Beetlejuice and Corpse Bride. Why not watch that movie? And that is the 1991 gothic comedy, The Addams Family. Yeah, I've never seen this movie. I'm surprised I haven't because I've seen a lot of the television movies, like the Brady Bunch movie, which is I love the Brady Bunch movie. It's one of my favorites. Um, it's probably the best of these, TV film kind of movies. I've seen things like that, and I haven't seen the Addams Family. I'm just surprised that I haven't. And let me also say that I've never watched the Addams Family TV show, so any like references or things like that, I know some of the references, like of course you rang. Who doesn't know you rang? Everyone knows that. But things like I know the theme song. I know you rang. I know a few things about it, but I've never really sat down and watched an Addams Family episode. So I don't have that attachment to it, so I really didn't know how this was going to be, but I have to say that I had a lot of fun with the Addams Family for the most part. It does have some problems here and there, but for the most part, I found it to be a very fun movie. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really fun. Now, the plot of the Addams Family is pretty simple. Basically, Lurch, Gomez has had a falling out with Fester. They've had a huge fight, and Fester has now disappeared, and supposedly now he is back. He's now back. But however, when Fester does come back, he starts to have there's certain weird things going on with him, and Gomez and the entire family starts to think that maybe this person that has returned might not actually be Fester, and that basically is the plot of the Addams Family. And yes, that's a very basic plot. There's a lot more going on in the movie than that, but that's, basically the plot of the movie. What I like about this movie right off the bat is that it really doesn't focus too much on that. It does, but it's more about the interactions between the family overall. Which they do, I think, get down very well. It's something I definitely really enjoyed. Let's get to the cast for the most part, because by far one of the best parts of this movie is the cast. I think the casting was pretty top-notch in this movie. I can't really think of anyone better to play the Addams Family than the people that did in this movie. Raul Julia, for example, as Gomez, I think has it down perfectly. In fact, when I saw him, I thought it was the guy that played him in the TV show. I looked up a picture of them. They look pretty similar. They don't look that different, which I'm happy about. I mean, a lot of times now, when you have a TV movie, they look completely different. They don't look anything like it. And here I thought they did a pretty good job of it. He did a really good job of playing Gomez. You really see him being like the leader of the family, and he does a very good job with that. You see how much he cares about his family. Of course, he's really dark and things like that, but he's also so funny. Anytime he freaks out, it's really funny to watch, and he definitely did a really great job, and I definitely really liked his character. Anjelica Huston is fantastic as Morticia. She's just so great in this movie. She's quite sexy. I wouldn't say, Anjelica Huston as a whole is sexy, but Morticia is definitely sexy. She gives out like that sexy, seductive vibe. She's also just a really great mother figure. You see how much she cares about the family overall, and the way that she's kind of like the head of the family, even though Gomez is, I'd say Morticia's more the head of the family. Just the way she holds the family together, I definitely really like, and I think she definitely did a really great job, and the interaction between these two is just so great. I mean, these two can't keep their hands off of each other. They constantly are making out. They're constantly making sexual innuendos right in front of their kids. Their kids don't even give a shit. Like, it's great. I love it. And I don't know if that's something that, I'm sure the original TV show didn't do that, but because this was the 90s, I think that was pretty funny the way they did that, because it would make sense for them to do something like that. Christopher Lloyd is so great as Fester, because we do know in the beginning of this movie that Fester is not actually Uncle Fester. He's actually Gordon, the son of Abigail, who is this banker that basically wants to take the Addams house for herself, and he does a great job in this movie as both Fester and as Gordon, because obviously Gordon doesn't really know what he's doing, and it's really funny to watch him fit in with the family, and there are certain things he's not remembering. There's certain things that just isn't working out for him, and he definitely was very funny throughout the entire movie. But I also like the emotional attachment he had to the family. Like, as time goes on, he actually starts to really care about them, and it's because of a twist that happens with the character that I will get into. There is a really good twist with him, but I thought he was really great. I definitely really liked his character, and he definitely did a very good job. I don't really think there's a lot of Christopher Lloyd's not really someone I could say, oh, he was really good in anything besides Back to the Future. I think this is one of the few things that I actually think Christopher Lloyd was really good in, and I haven't really seen, like I said, do any other movies besides Back to the Future, but he was really great in this. I'm sure he did other movies. He did, like, My Favorite Martian. He did do Anastasia, which you guys can check out my review of Anastasia, but I'm saying, like, iconic, like Doc Brown. Obviously, this is not as iconic as Doc Brown, but I do think it's up there. It's up there with the really good roles that he's played, and I definitely think he does a very good job in this movie. Hidaya is a new character, Tully, who is very shady in the very beginning of the movie. In the very beginning of the movie, he's talking with Gomez, trying to, like, get an idea what the family is like, and that's when he proposes that Gordon poses Fester, and he is really funny throughout the movie. I mean, just his interactions with Abigail, who I think is really great in the movie. My only complaint with these two characters that they don't really have too much to do in the movie, but it's not really a complaint because I don't think that we really need to get a lot from them. Elizabeth Wilson is Abigail. She's really good in the movie. It's really fun to see her, have Gordon slowly get closer to this family, as she doesn't want him to get attached to this family. It's really funny. Her character was a bit annoying sometimes, but I think for the most part she did a good job, and I like Dan Hidaya as Tully. My only thing with Tully is that there's never really anything that big with him. Like, he was kind of underutilized. Most times he's with Abigail, and there's not really too much else that happens with him than that, but I thought for the most part he did do a good job. He was evil, definitely. You could definitely see how evil he was, and I think they did a good job with that. Also, of course, you're probably thinking, how the hell can they get a villain for the Addams Family? I think they did a good job with this, definitely. Just them being completely repulsed by the Addams Family and not understanding them. It's really funny. I definitely enjoyed that. However, by far, I think the best casting out of everyone is Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams. She is spot on throughout this entire movie. So great in this movie. Honestly, so great. She, obviously, Wednesday Addams, doesn't have any emotions. There are a few times when she does get a bit happy, and what she gets happy at, is pretty disturbing, but she very much understood this character. She had the character down perfectly. I thought she was really funny in this movie, and by far one of the highlights of the movie, I thought definitely was Wednesday. She was just so great. And Pugsley as well, Jimmy Workman as Pugsley, is also really great. One of the funniest scenes of the movie is when they are performing The King and I, and of course, since they're dead, they chop off each other's limb, they get into, like, this whole fight, they start chopping off each other's limbs, blood is spraying. They are the perfect examples of the dark comedy that this movie needs, and I thought they work great together. The way Wednesday, tortured Pugsley was very funny, and I definitely really loved their interactions. They were really great. I also thought Judith Molina as Grandmama was also really funny. The only character that really doesn't have a lot to do is Carol Strukin as Lurch. He has nothing to do in this movie, unfortunately, which is too bad because Lurch, of course, one of the most iconic roles in this movie, but he really doesn't have too much to do. Margaret and Cousin It had more to do than Lurch. I mean, that's a problem. When Cousin It has more to do than Lurch, that's a problem in this movie. But I thought for the most part everyone did a really great job, and I thought the ensemble as a whole definitely was really great. I will say the casting for Lurch was really good. He just didn't really have too much to do, really. But the directing by Barry Sonnenfeld, I thought was definitely very good. Something like about this movie is that it didn't try to be too modern. Like, it wasn't like, oh, in your face, this is the 90s. This was the 90s, but it just felt like the Addams Family were fine here. It didn't feel like they felt out of place in this movie. They didn't do what the Brady Bunch movie did. I was thinking this was going to be like the Brady Bunch movie, but no, they really don't do much with just saying, oh, this is the 90s, this is the environment they're in, and it worked fine, honestly. It worked just completely fine. You just kind of saw it as just these wackos that live next door, and I thought that was fine, honestly. I didn't see much of a problem with that other than, I really didn't see much of a problem with that. I thought they did that perfectly fine. So I didn't have a problem with them putting the Addams Family into this time period. And also, this movie, like I said, it's very dark comedy, very gothic, and you really get that tone very well from Barry Sonnenfeld. I don't know if he was a fan of the Addams Family, but I'm pretty sure he was, because he definitely did a good job at putting in the references that he needed to and making it as fun as possible. The writing as well, like I said, the best thing about this movie is the dark comedy in this movie. There are some times when there were some jokes that just weren't that funny. There were some jokes that just didn't work and felt very out of place. Like, there was some jokes about some humor that just felt very out of place. There were just a few offhand that I didn't find that funny. And also, I will say that I did feel the movie got a lot funnier once once the actual plot started. Before, it was funny, but I wasn't really that into it until we really started the whole Fester thing, which is like 30 minutes in the movie, so it's fine. It wasn't too much of a problem. I just really wasn't that into it till they introduced the whole Fester plot. Once they introduced that, then I was really into this movie, and I really enjoyed it. And what really works is the dark comedy. I mean, there's so many times where the Addams Family will find something just like so great, and you know what makes this family so happy is it's disturbing. It really is, but that's why it's so funny, because it makes this family happy, and it just makes them so joyful, and it's hilarious to watch. And I definitely really love seeing it. I thought the writing was great. I definitely really liked that. And also there's some great scenes. Like, there was a scene where Wednesday's teacher shows Morticia this painting that Wednesday, this picture that Wednesday has made of one of her relatives, and she's done these horrible things, and it's really funny to watch. I definitely really enjoyed that. The cinematography is so impressive to this movie. It feels like the Addams Family. It doesn't feel like something different. It feels like the Addams Family. It feels like this is what the Addams Family should be. It's very dark. It's surprisingly very bloody. Like I said, the one scene with Wednesday and Pugsley is very bloody, but that's why it's so funny. I mean, just the fact they can, like, chop each other's limbs off, they can take each other's hands off, and nothing bad happens. I thought that was definitely very funny, and I really enjoyed that. Cinematography is just great to this movie. The look of the house looked great. The look of the Addams families themselves, the look of the family themselves, they all look great. And like I said, they really did a good job at making it look, very distinct. This is the look the Addams Family should have, and I thought that was fine. I was very happy with that. The editing was perfect. I thought the movie flew by perfectly. I was into it the whole time. The score was also really great. It was really creepy. I was surprised this wasn't a Tim Burton movie, because the score very much felt like a Danny Elfman, Tim Burton score, and I was very happy by that. And that's exactly a tone this movie should have had. If there was anyone that should have directed this movie, it should have been Tim Burton, but honestly, I think, Barry Sonnenfeld did a good of enough job that we didn't really need Tim Burton to come in there. I do feel Tim Burton maybe could have done a bit more with this movie, but Tim Burton has done so much gothic stuff that I think it was cool to see another director pull it off that wasn't Tim Burton. I thought Tim Burton did this movie at first, but he didn't, and I'm fine with that. I do want to talk quick spoilers to this movie, because I really want to talk about the ending of this movie, which I thought was pretty awesome. I definitely really like that. So, the twist, and this is a small spoiler, if you guys haven't seen this movie, check it out. It's a very fun movie. I think it very much represents Halloween. However, it did throw me off in the beginning when they were singing Christmas carols. I mean, that was just a little bit strange. I don't know why they specifically chose Christmas carols, because then it just goes away. They just get rid of that whole Christmas element. I don't know what the point of that was. I mean, this movie was released on November 22nd. Why was there random Christmas carols in there? I don't know why they were in there. I don't know what they're doing in there. They fell out of place to me. But other than that, I was perfectly fine with it. But let's now talk spoilers. Okay, so when we find out that Abigail actually brainwashed Fester, and actually was Fester the whole time, that was a hilarious twist. I absolutely love that twist. It really was making sense, because obviously Fester was getting really close to the family, closer than he should have, and it was a bit predictable. I will say that. I'm like, I kind of feel like he's actually Fester, and it did make sense after a while. I definitely really did like that, and I thought it worked for the most part very well. Then the ending where Morticia tells Gomez that she's pregnant, that does set up the Addams Family values, which I might check out at some point. Honestly, I probably will check that out next year. I've heard it's a good sequel overall. I've heard some people say it's not good, but I probably will check that out at some point. But I definitely thought that was a very fun ending, and I definitely really like that. Overall, guys, the Addams Family is a really fun movie. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was really not going to be that good, mainly because I just wasn't into it at first. I didn't find it that funny, but then once, like I said, once the actual plot took off, then I really stuck with it, and it just got more progressively funny throughout it, and I'm definitely going to give the Addams Family a 4 to 5 or a B+. It's a really fun movie. I definitely recommend you guys check it out, and it really represents the gothic part of Halloween very, very well, especially if you want to laugh and you want a really fun movie. This is not really a kid's movie because of all the sex innuendos and things like that. It probably will go over their head, but I still wouldn't really recommend it to kids. But I think if you're a fan of the Addams Family, and if you really like movies like Beetlejuice, things like that, this is definitely something you should definitely check out, because I really enjoyed it. But as we review the Addams Family, hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, if you guys saw this movie, you have seen it. how does this movie hold up for you? If you're a fan of the TV show, let me know. Does this hold up well to the TV show? I'm pretty sure, if you've watched the TV show, you obviously prefer the TV show over the movie. But did you like this movie? Do you think I definitely think it's one of the better movie adaptations of TV shows out there. Definitely one of the better ones. There were a whole bunch in the 90s, and most of them sucked, but this was one of the few really good ones. And that's it for my review. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of The Walking Dead, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.